Travis Scott sounds like the name of a country and western singer, but actually he's a rapper and singer from Houston, Texas. He is a globally recognized artist and pop culture figure, also Wikipedia says. He's had albums that have charted, loads of songs that have charted. He's made deals with companies for promotion like McDonald's. He's won awards. He's been active apparently since 2008. His first album came out in 2015, and his fourth album is still to be released. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was Travis's third album, and it's my first encounter with him that I know of. Okay. This album has received apparently worldwide acclaim. It topped the US album charts equivalent. It got into several best of and topped several publications' best of 2018 albums, and it has a Metacritic rating of 85, which is enormous. It's high. Yeah. So whenever anybody sets themselves a challenge or is given a challenge by somebody else, the reason why it's a challenge is because there is some aspect to it that makes it not easy. So either that's to do with endurance or to do with skill or just stamina or enduring pain on the way. There's bound to be some difficulties because otherwise it wouldn't be a challenge. And my challenge here to review the best 3,000 albums according to Acclaim Music has definitely got some aspects of this in it. And one of them is that occasionally I have to endure something that I wouldn't seek out to listen to. I would probably definitely avoid stuff that I have ended up listening to. So the reason why I started doing reviews in the first place, so before these video reviews, I had a blog, which about 2 or 3 people read occasionally. So I'm doing better on this channel, which is great. Before that, I did reviews that I put on Facebook. And the reason I started reviewing albums was because I got sick of listening to the radio in the car on my commute. And so I decided to listen to albums, and somehow that transformed into an idea of I could discover some new albums and maybe I could review them. And so that's continued. And this is one of my major places for listening to the music. One of the fundamental reasons for doing this switch was to get away from modern pop because I was fed up of it. I just didn't like it. I feel a bit like when I was kind of 15, 16, people around at that sort of time who were my sort of age, mid-50s, might say, oh, this modern music is just not really musical. It's all noise, and I just don't like it at all. So I'm feeling a bit like I'm in that role now. I just don't like this sort of stuff. And that's what this is. This is very modern pop. Let me do some description. It's got a very electronic drum beat. Sometimes I don't mind electronic drums. There's a bass drum, which is okay, but the hi-hat and the snare, which are the other things that seem to appear here, are incredibly tinny. They're kind of about as high up as you could possibly get them. And they're also quite weirdly stop-start. And this is a feature of modern pop, I think, is it kind of gets going and then it comes to a halt. And it gets going, and I know that other music does it. It has phases where it goes in and out, and you get going for a while and then have a quieter section. But modern pop just seems to do this into excess, in the sense of you hardly really feel like you're getting going before there's a change to it. There's also a deep electronic bass that's often used. Sometimes that's kind of sweeping bass, like that kind of thing. This reminds me of jungle music from the electronic genre called jungle from back in the 90s. It's a very electronic sound. The bit that I like best about it is the rest of the musical stuff is there's some light and airy keyboard stuff that fills it out. Kind of like pads or chimes or something, and that can be relatively pleasant, I think. The singing, there's a lot of singing here. There's often more than one person going at once, I think. I think there's quite a lot of guests involved here as well. and they have taken the idea of autotune thoroughly to heart. I don't think there's any singing on here that isn't strongly and very obviously auto-tuned to an excessive extent, I would say, to the extent that actually the autotune itself sometimes makes the words hard to understand, just because of the way it's shifting around. There is some rap in it as well. I don't think the rap is auto-tuned, and it's, I guess this is kind of the modern end of rap. I know rap's been around for a while. What do I know about this? Most of the words are pretty unintelligible. I find it hard to track what's going on. I think quite a lot of it is kind of stream of consciousness stuff anyway. It's using phrases that I don't necessarily know the relevance of. There's a lot of coded references, I think, in here. And that's probably just as well, I think, sometimes, because the stuff that I can work out is often, well, it's sometimes sweary, not as much as some rap, but there is a decent amount of language in here. But also, I think, possibly even more often than that, explicit. And it's definitely not safe for work or for kids. It's and once again, like some of the rap that I've reviewed, the attitude to women seems to be deplorable, basically. Yeah. There may be stuff in the stuff that I haven't worked out which is less deplorable, and I couldn't honestly say about that because I haven't been able to work it out. There is one curiosity about it, which is that the number of writers per track seems higher than is plausible, and the most extreme of those is a track called Sicko Mode, which has listed in Wikipedia 30 writers, which kind of listening to these tracks, there's not that many notes going on. There are, a reasonable amount of words going on, but, maybe they've had 5 words each at that. It's just, how come? And 6 producers. And it is true that it is very densely produced in some ways. I would kind of say that it sounds overproduced to my ears. So you're getting the impression I don't like it. You're absolutely right. I seriously dislike this. I think there are some musical elements in here. It's not discordant, so it doesn't have that against it. But otherwise, it's not my cup of tea, definitely. I am probably missing a whole load of amazing qualities in this. I assume I must be if it has a Metacritic rating of 85 and this stuff is getting reviews. I assume it's just that either I don't know how to listen to it or I'm fundamentally not going to be wired to be able to appreciate this stuff. And I can live with that. But if you got anything you want to enlighten me about or agree with me, disagree with me, anything, I do love to read your comments. So please talk to me through the comments box. And that's it from me for now.
Made this here with all the ice on in the booth. At the gate outside, when they pull up, they give me loose. Yeah, jump out, boys. That's Nike boys hopping our coast. This shit way too big. When we pull up, give me the loot. Give me the loot. Was off the Remy, had up at post. Had to hit my old town to duck the news. 2 4-hour lockdown, we made no moves. Now it's 4